Hey, do you think Colin Kaepernick is killing Nike stock? Let's talk about it on the other side. Hey, I'm Kamari Ellis. Welcome to my channel. If you've never been to this channel before, this channel is dedicated to talking about all things that affect your wealth. All right, we're talking about investments, we're talking about taxes, we're talking about insurance, we're talking about small business, and many other things. Again, if you're new here, hit the subscribe button and also hit the notification button so that every time I do a new video, you'll get notified. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about Nike and the whole controversy with the Colin Kaepernick and the whole 30th Nike anniversary campaign. That doesn't just include Colin Kaepernick, but it includes Colin Kaepernick, Serena Williams, Odell Beckham, and quite a few others. So it's funny. Nike announced this on September 4th. They said they were going to do this new campaign. Colin Kaepernick is the face of the campaign, and everybody erupted. Everybody went off. Many people were happy. Many people were upset. Many of those that were upset are upset because Colin Kaepernick kneels during football, actually kneels when he was actually playing football. He hasn't been able to get a football contract since the end of that season when his contract expired. But again, a lot of people were upset and a lot of people were happy. Those that were upset burned their sneakers, disfigured all their Nike apparel, cut up their socks. It was a whole lot of stuff. A lot of people were upset. I mean, one person I think that's really notable is Nick Cannon from Wild 'N Out, Mariah Carey's previous husband. He went to a store, a sneaker store, and he brought out all Nike socks, all black Nike socks, and he gave them to the homeless. So he wanted to show his commitment that way. But this issue has come up with a whole bunch of people taking sides, one being President Trump as well. I find it really interesting that this private issue, this private industry issue is being talked about by the president, but he's talked about it before. But nonetheless, when you look at everything, it's really interesting. Not only did Nike do this ad campaign, right? Very controversial because Colin Kaepernick was kneeling because he was doing a silent protest against police brutality in the United States. So they signed him up to be the picture of this ad campaign. But they also brought airtime, commercial time for Thursday Night Football and the first season, the beginning of the season, right? Who played? The Philadelphia Eagles and the Atlanta Falcons. Now, if you don't notice, I'm from Philly. And guess what? We won the championship last year. So go Eagles, go. But back to everything else, right? So they doubled down on that, and ironically, guess who tweeted about it? President Trump. So President Trump said Nike made a mistake. Again, I find it interesting that this is a private matter. I find it interesting that it's affected the stock price, but we'll come to that a little bit later. It's interesting because a lot of people are burning their stuff, but what I find most interesting, people that are burning their stuff, they paid for it already. Nike doesn't care about that money. I find it interesting that a lot of people on the interwebs and the social webs are saying Nike really doesn't care about the police brutality issue. They don't really care about people of color and black people especially, and Latinos especially, with this issue of police brutality and police killings. But when you look at what Nike did, it's kind of what they normally do. But before we get into that, I want to look at some stats, right? There were some stats from TMZ that were released that a buddy of mine sent me over. So give me a moment and I'll pull those up. And it basically says, it talked about Nike's demographics and who buys their shoes, because there's always a lot of speculation for that. So it's interesting that the company's market research shows that 13% of Americans identify as African Americans, yet 18% of Nike buyers are black. Hispanics account for 16% of the United States population, but represent 19% of Nike buyers. And Asians account for 3% of the total U.S. population, but account for 5% of Nike consumers. So it seems like minorities, people of color, over-indexing on Nike products. Caucasians are underrepresented in the Nike world. The white population in the United States is 75%, but they comprise only 67% of Nike customers. And of those, Nike believes a very large percentage, especially young whites, support Colin Kaepernick. Now, let's talk about age demographics. So, Nike stats, 18 to 34-year-olds comprise 30% of the U.S. population, but they represent a whopping 43% of Nike buyers. On the other hand, people 65 and older account for 19% of the population, but represent only 6% of Nike customers. Now, in politics, Nike customers are 7% less likely to be Republicans than the general population, and 3% more likely to be Democrats. So, when you look at this whole issue, it's all about positioning, right? Nike is looking at this and they're saying, who are our customers? They're saying, who buys from us? Lots of blacks buy from us, lots of Latinos buy from us, lots of young whites buy from Nike. If you look at the Republican Party, or the people who have the biggest issue with this whole thing, they're the old, stodgy guys that really don't care about police brutality in a lot of instances. And so Nike has made an educated bet. And they said, we are going to place our money on the youth and not the old. Because the old are dying out. The young are still growing. The young are still gaining income potential. So you'll see Nike double down on this. That's why they did the ad. That's why they made Kaepernick the face of this campaign, the 30th anniversary campaign. Now, I'm not trying to take away from Nike and say that they don't care about the community, but what I know they do care about more than anything else is being accountable to their shareholders and having an increasing stock price. But when you look at all of Nike's history, right, Nike is a marketing company, and it's not me saying that. The founder, Phil Knight, said that during an interview with David Rubenstein on Bloomberg. Let's check it out real quick.
Would you say the company benefited more from being a good marketing company or a good technology company? In other words, having a better product or having better marketing, or a combination of both?
Well, what I've always said is we're a marketing company, and the product is our most important marketing tool.
Now that's the clip of Phil Knight saying that Nike is a marketing company and the shoes or their apparel are just the tools that they use to make money. But they are a marketing company. So they are doing everything to market towards their demographic, towards their psychographic also. A lot of times in marketing, people talk about demographics, but they don't talk about psychographics. This is also getting into the space of psychographics when we talk about how people think and feel about certain issues. So this is very, very interesting how all of this is going on. Now, you know, it's my channel. We talk about money. So I'm going to pull up some other stats here that I have on my iPad. All right. So let's talk about Nike's. The stock after reacted. So the first day the news was dropped was September 4th. The stock dropped about 2% off the top of my head, and then it bounced back, and then it's normal. Right now the stock's trading at about $80. All right. But when you look at Nike from a long-term perspective over, let's say, the last 10 years, their average revenue rate of growth was 8%. So every year they grew 8%. Now at the year end of Nike, this last year end, which was May 31st, 2018, that's when the year ends, they did $36 billion in revenue. They did 1.9% in profit. So every day, out of that $36 billion, they were able to put $1.9 billion in their profit. All right. Now, on average, over the last 10 years, their average rate of growth for their profits has been about 4%. Both of those figures are way above inflation. It shows that Nike has an ability to navigate various time frames, various issues, and still average out a positive rate of growth for their revenues, basically what they're selling out on the street, and how much profit they're putting in their pockets. All right. So the stock price is like $80. So if that stock were to continue, let me back up. And the stock price over the last 10 years has grown about 18%. So from roughly 2008, 2009. So now it's grown 18%. So if we take that figure, right, and we blow it out and we say Nike is going to continue, let's say the average rate, Nike stock, 18%, it's going to be about a $200 stock, $200 plus stock over the next, let's say, 3 to 5 years. That's what I think. If it stays par and on average of what it's doing, 3 to 5 years. A $200 stock is $80 now. All right. So let's say you had $1,000 to invest right now, and Nike was about $80. That's about 12 shares. Over the next, say, 3 to 5 years, Nike grows to about a $200 stock. You'll have anywhere from $2,000 to, let's say, $2,500 in earnings. Or your whole portfolio will be worth about $2,500. So basically, if you invest $1,000 now, in let's say 3 to 5 years, it should be worth, it's a projection, $2,500 to $2,700 all together. All right. That's no slim pickings. And that's just saying, it's going to do that. Now, remember, past performance is no indicator of future success. All right. Before you buy any investment, talk to your tax, legal, and investment advisors to make sure it is right for you and your situation. I don't want to hear about anybody saying, Kamari told me to buy this stock, because I'm not telling you about the stock. I'm just talking about the stock. But Kamari told me to buy the stock, and now the stock trash. No, it doesn't work. All right. Go see your people and have them evaluate your situations for you. Okay. Now, when you think about that, right, somebody asked me, well, how can I buy Nike stock? Well, you can buy Nike stock a couple of ways, all right? You can go directly to Nike. Nike has what's called a drip program. There's a video on my channel, I'll look to link it here, talking about drip programs, which stands for dividend reinvestment programs, where basically you can buy shares directly from Nike or from companies, because there's a lot of drip. There are a lot of companies that have drip programs, right? But in talking about Nike, they have a drip program, so you can buy directly from Nike. Why would you want to buy directly from Nike? Because it helps you avoid any brokerage fees, any trade fees. Now, there's a small fee for it, and sometimes there's a minimum amount of shares you have to buy. But in the long haul, you will tend to save money, and of course, that money can be reinvested in other things. Also, the dividends. So basically, the dividends, the money that Nike makes for shareholders, gets reinvested into your account. So your account continues to keep growing. All right. So you can look that up as well. The other way you can buy Nike stock is, I don't know if you've ever heard of Robinhood app. I use Robinhood app. There's a link for it below. It's an affiliate link, but there's a link below in the caption, in the description, excuse me. And you can buy it that way, or you can go to a place like a Capital One Investing as well, and you can open up an account. Usually there's no fee to open up an account, and you can go in there and you can type in NKE, and you can buy shares of Nike. Now, I've been asked about the whole process of buying stock and opening up an investment account. That's a video that I will be having coming very, very soon. So that's what you want to do. Also, you can buy Nike through mutual funds or ETFs. Now, I've stated on this channel before, I'm not a big fan of mutual funds, right? But I love ETFs. They're basically the same. There's a couple of nuances. Basically, a mutual fund is a basket of different investments, right? In this case, there'll be a basket of stocks, and you can go and you can buy the ETFs. Now, there's a couple of ETFs that you can buy, like SPY, I believe IYR, anything consumer discretionary, you can buy the ETF for it, and you will get ownership of Nike stock plus other consumer discretionary stocks in that portfolio of stocks that are being owned by the ETF. So there's several ways that you can buy stock if you want to take advantage of this. For where I'm sitting, as people are getting older and the younger folks are getting older, but the younger folks are starting to make more money, I think Nike made the right bet. I think actually they're also standing on the right side of history as well. And they're pissing the president off. So Can't beat that. Well, everybody, tell me what you think about Nike. And if you have any other questions about Nike or any other stock, leave them in the review below. I'll see you soon, everybody. Have a great day. Bye-bye.